plus K2 minus K2 minus K2, K2 plus K. Now, similarly, I will get the mass matrix. M is M1 and 0, M0, M2. This is the what we call as the lumped mass matrix approach, and the mass matrix is given in this form. Now let me just first do the modal transformation of this mass matrix. Let us substitute m phi equal to m after multiplication. We will be getting this m into phi is m minus m, and then phi transpose m phi. If I do this transformation, then it is coming as the 2m. Similarly, let me come to this stiffness matrix normalization. K phi, first I am calculating K phi and then phi transpose K phi. If I do this transformation, I am getting this equation, that is twice K 0 0 4K2 plus 2K. If you look at back, means here the mass matrix has changed now, and it is diagonal. Normally we get the mass matrix in diagonal form, because off diagonal form, whatever mass matrix we get, that is from our consideration of the equation, it is not appropriate. Means but we get from our finite element formulation. That's what we call as the consistent mass approach, where off diagonal will be existing. But after this modal transformation, whatever mass matrix we will be getting, m transpose phi m, it will be, off diagonal terms will become 0, and that is the concept of modal transformation. We will be getting only the diagonal mass matrix and similarly diagonal stiffness matrix. And this way, transforming the mass matrix and stiffness matrix we call as the after transformation, whatever mass matrix and stiffness matrix we get, that we call as the modal stiffness matrix. This is modal stiffness matrix, and the earlier one also we call as modal mass matrix. Is it clear? Though it is a simple system, I am showing it both mass matrix and stiffness matrix are coming diagonal. And if you look at here, these two equations, actually this mass matrix and stiffness matrix, after transformation, we are getting actually two single degree of freedom system, because off diagonal terms are not there. So there is no, means if I give modal displacement to mode 1, only mode 1 will vibrate. Similarly, mode 2, if you are giving, only mode 2 will vibrate. Is it clear what I am saying?
Sir, can you
Yes,
repeat?
sir.
See, what I am saying, from our mass matrix and stiffness matrix, whatever modal characteristics we have extracted, the modal vector and this modal transformation, transforming the modal mass and modal stiff, and obtaining this modal mass and modal stiffness, whatever equations we are getting, means initially these two equations were coupled. The coupling was coming from this stiffness matrix. Once I transform it to modal coordinate, the equations are now uncoupled equation, and if I write that, I'll be getting as m multiplied by q1 double dot q1 double dot plus, I'm just writing that equation. Actually this I'll call as the m bar. Similarly, this is k bar into q1. This will be equal to 0. This is the first equation, modal equation in first equation. Similarly, sorry, this will be actually m1. This is k1 bar. Similarly, I'll have m2 bar into q2 double dot plus k2 bar in multiplied by q2. So this is equal to 0. Whatever I am saying, when it was in the physical coordinate, those two equations, if you look at, they were coupled. Means if I give a displacement in x1 coordinate, x1 direction, x2 direction also it will be excited due to the coupling of the stiffness matrix. Though mass matrix is not coupled, but stiffness matrix is coupled. So that way, in a physical coordinate, if I give displacement in x1 coordinate, x2 also will be excited. Whereas after transformation, these two equations, whatever I am getting in the modal coordinate, they are uncoupled. That means if I am giving excitation to Q1, Q2 will not be excited. Only Q1 will be excited, because those two, after modal transformation, these two equations are uncoupled equations. Okay. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me just continue. That's what I have shown it here. After transformation, we are getting these two equations. Basically, these two equations, m q1 double dot k into q1 equal to 0. That is the information whatever we have taken, m1, m2 equal to m, and similarly k1 equal to k3 equal to k. After substituting these two information, we are getting these two equations, uncoupled equations.
So,
And if we look at here, first frequency, mode 1 will be associated to this frequency. If you look at from here, single degree of freedom system, whatever we get, square root k by m, omega 1 is equal to square root k by m. Similarly, from the second equation, I am getting k plus 2k2 divided by m square root. That is our second frequency. Okay. After modal transformation, I will be getting modal mass and modal stiffness, and this modal mass, modal stiffness are regulated directly as like our single degree of freedom system. In the single degree of freedom system, when we took mx double dot plus kx equal to 0, we can calculate the natural frequency, that is square root k by m. And similarly, these two equations has been transformed to a uncoupled single degree of freedom system. From equation 1, I will be getting omega 1, that is square root k by m, omega 2 from the second equation, that is square root k plus twice k2 by m.
so,
Yes.
so can you give an example of a situation where the mass matrix is coupled?
Actually, that I cannot give here example, because whatever consider mass matrix we are considering here, we are considering is a lumped mass. Okay. When you are going to calculate this stiffness mass matrix with respect to your finite element formulation, that will be coming as integration over volume. If you are going through finite element course, you will be getting this equation, n transpose rho multiplied by n. Both all are matrix. Integration over dv. I'm just calling that way. Means if I want to get a consistent mass where off diagonal terms will be there, that will be coming from this formulation. Our finite element formulation, whatever we do and finally get the mass matrix, that will be equal to n transpose rho n integration dv. After completing this, we will be getting mass matrix, which will be consistent mass matrix. If you go back, this two noded bar element, if I have, let's say, this is u1, u2, then we can get the mass matrix. Exactly, I have to get that. Means we'll be getting 2 by 2 matrix, 2 by 2 matrix, 2 by 2 matrix, where we'll have something. Let's say this will be m11, then this will be M12, all will be existing, and this will be M21, 21, M22. Okay. This once you go to finite element formulation of a bar element, where you are calculating mass matrix for a bar element, two-noded bar element, you will be getting off diagonal terms in the mass matrix, which we call as the consistent mass matrix approach.
Okay, sir.
Means you need to consider your finite element formulation, then only you will get that consistent mass matrix. Shreyas, you have made the calculation now, mass matrix calculation you have done?
No, sir, I actually did it for steady state only.
Only static analysis.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So if you just extend, because already you have calculated the shape function matrix, n is in this equation, actually in this equation, n is shape function matrix and rho is basically inertia matrix. That you will be getting the idea about these two in the finite element formulation, whatever you are going through the finite element course. There you will be getting the information about this. And if you calculate, you will be getting a mass matrix which is with off diagonal terms. In this approach, because here I have taken all mass is a lumped mass. See, if you look at, I have considered only the spring only, this mass only, lumped mass. That's why in this formulation I'll be always getting mass matrix which is diagonal matrix. But in the finite element formulation, where we are approaching to calculate the mass matrix from the consistent mass matrix approach, where we'll be getting off diagonal terms. So let me come to now the general concept steps of modal analysis. First, we are calculating, let's say D1 is the first modal vector, D2 is another modal vector. The orthogonality condition is that D1 transpose D2 should be equal to 0. Similarly, when we are calculating this norm, norm of D matrix, that is the modal vector, square root, that is nothing but D transpose D, taking the square root of that will be equal to taking summation of I equal to 1 to n, di square to the power half. This will be giving us the basically the concept of normalization process. Means there are several normalization. I'll be when we are going to finite element formulation and in modal coordinate, we need normalization. In this, see, when I calculated the D1 vector, I have taken either x1 or x2 as 1, and with respect to that I have calculated. That is called as the max normalization. Okay. But there are other normalizations are there, that is called mass normalization and point normalization. Usually in your finite element software, these normalization concepts are there in the selection of modal response analysis. You have to say what type of normalization you want to consider. See, generally, we in our analysis we consider the mass normalized modal vector, where this phi transpose m phi will become unity and phi transpose k phi become omega square. That's what I have shown it here. D transpose k bar into D is nothing but lambda I square. Sorry, lambda I, which is basically omega I whole square. That is the natural frequency square. And this way, when we are doing the normalization of the modal vector with this respect to this, then it will become mass normalized this modal vector. Let me start with this. Let's say we are considering a multi-degree of freedom system. Let me come to. Let me just talk about this. Let's say this mx double dot plus k into x equal to 0. This is a coupled system, and now this mass matrix I am transforming into this two triangular form, L into L transpose, that is called Cholesky decomposition, means taking mass matrix to two diagonal matrices, two triangular matrices, lower triangle and upper triangle, and then if we are calculating this L will be nothing but M inverse or M square root. That is the concept of doing the mass normalized modal vector. And after doing this transformation, L inverse will take as M to the power minus half, and we are getting this information. And after doing this transformation, x equal to M inverse square root into q, and then I am getting mass normalized stiffness vector, this modal vector, where k bar is nothing but lambda I or omega I square. This is omega I square. Is it clear? Then in the next step, actually, we'll be doing this transformation k bar into d equal to omega square into d, and then after substituting this information, we'll be able to calculate the eigenvalues and eigenvectors, and we will be doing the normalization so that it will become when we are doing the transformation of mass matrix and stiffness matrix, mass matrix will become unity, stiffness matrix become omega square. Let me just take a continuous system like this. See, in this continuous system, basically masses are all lumped masses, M1, M2, M3, like that, Mn. Those many mass matrices are there. That means those many degrees of freedom will be there associated to this continuous system. And if I am taking the equilibrium equation of this system, that is, the general equation will be Mi multiplied by xi transpose plus ki into xi minus 1 minus ki plus 1 multiplied by xi plus 1 minus xi equal to 0. This is the general equation if it is a n degree of freedom system, and after rearranging them, we can write that m into x double dot plus k into x equal to 0. I'm taking now a system where k1 plus k2, k1 equal to k2 equal to k3 equal to 4 Newton meter, and we are giving initial displacement as 1 meter, x naught equal to 1 meter, and that is basically we have associated with these 2 degrees of freedom, 3 degrees of freedom system, x1, x2, x3. x1 I am taking as 1 meter, and all other values equal to 0. And mass matrix M1, M2, M3 equal to 4 kg. And substituting these values, we will be getting mass matrix as M equal to all diagonal terms with the 4 value, and stiffness matrix like this: 8 minus 4, 0 minus 4, 8 minus 4 minus 4, 4. Whatever I have given the general expression here, with respect to that, I'll be getting the stiffness matrix. And that, once I substitute here the values, I'm getting this information So once we get this k minus lambda into k minus lambda into m, that is equal to 0, that will give us the values of lambda. In this case we are getting three values of lambda, that is omega 1, omega 2, omega 3, that is 0.4450 radian per second, omega 2 1 point, and associated to this frequency I have the modal vector this, and similarly omega 2 I have this modal vector, omega 3 with this modal vector. This whatever the general concept of calculation of modal stiffness, modal characteristics, after solving these equations in those form, I'll be getting omega 1, omega 2 and omega 3. Then I'll be getting basically these are whatever I have written in here. This I can write as phi 1, this is phi 2 and this is phi 3. So if I arrange them together, I'll be getting modal vector phi, which will be giving us, this is our phi 1, this is a column vector. Then I'll be arranging phi 2. Then I'll be
all three vectors will be orthogonal, right?
With respect to that, it will be orthogonal because we have used the concept in this case, orthogonal concept. So it will be orthogonal to each other. Each modal vectors are orthogonal to each other. That is the meaning. That means phi 1 transpose into phi 2, that should be equal to 0. Similarly, phi 2 transpose phi 1 will be equal to 0. Phi 3 transpose into phi 2 equal to 0. That means off diagonal terms will be 0. Means transforming into these three coordinate modal coordinates, they are, as they are orthogonal, the transformation will be equal to 0. Means phi 1 only, not that way, means whichever will be giving off diagonal terms. Phi 1 transpose into phi 2, it will be 0. Or in another way, I will be getting phi transpose phi equal to identity matrix. If I do this one, phi transpose into phi with respect to this, it will be having all the diagonal terms, all these are unit, 0, 0, then again it will be 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. After doing this, as they are orthogonal, that's why I'll be getting all of the diagonal terms equal to 0. Let me continue with that. I'm saying how to get those values. Basically, I have in that previous slide, I have shown the values, omega values and the modal vectors. I have shown it here in the steps how we have to calculate m transpose. First, I will be calculating. Then k bar I will be getting m transpose square root minus square root k minus half k into m to the power half. After doing this and getting this equation, I will be getting the frequencies. Lambda 1 equal to this, lambda 2 is equal to this, and lambda 3 is this, whatever I have shown it already. And then substituting lambda 1 in this equation, I'll be able to get d1 vector. So this d1 is coming as 0.3280, 0.5910, 0.7370. Similarly, I get other two values, and arranging them, I'll be getting this equation and this modal vector. And doing this transformation, d transpose into d should be equal to identity matrix. Similarly, d transpose k bar into d will be coming as lambda. That is the diagonal terms with omega square. First one will be omega 1 square, second one will be omega 2 square, third diagonal will be omega 3 square. Okay. So once I transform it to the single degree of freedom system, if you look at back in your structural dynamics, you have learned how to calculate the response of the single degree of freedom system when we have given a initial displacement only and initial velocity sorry, both initial displacement and initial velocity, and then the response will be x equal to v naught by omega n whole square plus x naught square to the power half sine omega n t plus alpha. This alpha will be tan inverse omega n x naught into v0. So similarly, in our case, we will be getting this R1, R1 with respect to time response of this R1, modal coordinate R1. Sometimes I have used as R1 or Q1, they are same basically, modal coordinates. So R1T, I'll be getting with respect to this equation, whatever I have written it here, the initial modal displacement and modal velocity and the natural frequencies with respect to this, I will be getting the response, time response. So let me come to now this equation, whatever we have already given the example. I am just skipping this part. This already I have shown it. So I'm coming to this one where we have all single degree of freedom system. Okay, just let me show you. Basically, I have used one more matrix S inverse S equal to identity matrix, and doing this transformation, this is the model vector, whatever we are getting. After normalization, we are getting this displacement. Sorry, model vectors. Okay.
So can we also get the phase angles of each?
Yeah. We
How
can get
this
phase
work
angles.
relation?
We can get phase angles also. If you look at here in the response, whatever I have shown is the single degree of freedom system. This is basically the time response, and alpha is basically phase angle. Okay. So when we have only mass matrix and stiffness matrix, usually what will happen, this phase angle will be 90 degree, because actually damping introduces the change in the phase angle. As there is no damping considered in this system, we will not be getting the phase angle other than 90 degree. So we will be getting alpha equal to 90 degree for all these conditions. And after getting this value, this lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 and the model vectors, this k bar minus lambda into I equal to d1 equal to 0, and then I have calculated here d1, d2, d3, equating this into 0 and taking this value, some value as with respect to this d1 transpose into d1 have extracted from first equation and substituted in this equation to find out d21, d31, then finally getting d1 equal to this d31 into this value, and d31 we are taking unit. Similarly, I'll have d2 and d3, and d transpose d will be getting this normalization d transpose d, and this is our d matrix, and this d matrix I can check it again. D transpose d should be unity. D transpose k bar into d is lambda, and S the transformation matrix, we are getting M inverse square root into D, After substituting the values, we will be getting this is the S vector. So we can check it here. S transpose S should be equal to unity, and D transpose M inverse will be giving us this value. And from the equation 1, after transforming, we will be getting this equation from the first equation, whatever we have taken. Is that. So this is actually what we have calculated here. As if you look at here, the displacements we have given 1 0 0. We have given first displacement to coordinate 1 and velocity is 0. So I have used this initial condition to transform into modal coordinate. After transforming modal displacement, that's whatever I have shown it here. I have taken the physical displacement as 1 0 0 and transforming into modal coordinate. It will become the mode. The modal displacement of mode 1 is this. Modal displacement of mode 2 is this, and modal displacement of mode 3 is this. And then substituting in that equation, we can find out the amplitude and the phase angle. Amplitude will be coming for R1 equal to 0.6560 into sine omega t plus pi by 2. This is the phase angle. Whatever I was talking of the phase angle, it will be coming as 90 degree. All three cases means all three coordinates, phase angle will be coming as pi by 2. Similarly, I can calculate R2 response, R3 response. Once I have calculated the modal response, response is modal coordinate, then I can transform it back to physical coordinate after basically into sine cos function. So it will become cos function here. First one is cos 0.6560 cos 0.445 t. Similarly, for second coordinate, it will be minus 1.4750 cos 1.247 into t. And third modal coordinate, modal response is this. Then once I have the modal coordinate, I can substitute in this equation to find it back, means calculate back the physical coordinate. So physical response will become x equal to s into r of t, and substituting in this equation, we will be able to calculate the stiffness response in physical coordinate. This is our S matrix. This is our S matrix, and this is the modal response. And substituting, doing the multiplication, I'll be getting as x1 equal to this response coming from mode 1. The physical coordinate x1, whatever deformation will be there, that is coming from mode 1, mode 2, and mode 3. Similarly, for coordinate 2, I will have contribution from all the modes, x3 also similarly. So with this concept, actually we will be able to identify what is the contribution of mode 1, mode 2, mode 3 in x1 displacement, x2 displacement, and x3 displacement. Is it clear what I am talking of? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So you can just look at back this formulation. I have just quickly shown it. But if you do the workout, this values, you will be able to calculate and find out the response, how it is coming from mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. So in our error elasticity analysis, I am saying we will be considering as the static error elastic analysis is related to only the change in angle of attack, that is basically the torsional mode. I have considered there as a torsional frequency and torsional mode only, one frequency and one mode only. Okay, is it clear how I am considering that in our and able to correlate the information what we have taken in our error elasticity analysis as single degree of freedom system, and that modal single degree of freedom system is related to torsional mode. First torsional mode. See, for a accurate analysis, I need to consider torsional mode, but the other higher torsional modes also. But we are considering that mode 1 is contributing maximum, and that way we have considered only mode 1 in that case. So let me take the attendance now. Rajesh Meena,
Present, sir.
Priyam Dalmia, Siddhant Raj,
Present, sir.
Aman Sangban, Fali Sai Ganesh,
Present, sir.
Dikshit Rathod, Kajal Chaudhary,
Present, sir.
Chandramouli,
Present, sir.
Yuvraj Kumar, Yuvraj Kumar.
Present, sir. Present, sir.
Okay, okay. Borun Trishul,
Present, sir.
Aditya Deepak,
Present, sir.
Ajay Kanela,
Present, sir.
Pradhan,
Present, sir.
Chapalli Vivek, Kritik Santosh,
Present, sir.
Rahul Rajkumar,
Present, sir.
Siddhant Gupta,
Yes, sir.
Arghonir Giri,
Present, sir. Present, sir.
Kotipalli Lilaram Srikar,
Present, sir.
Rafsan Singh,
Present, sir.
Prajapati Devars,
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
Divya Datta,
Present, sir.
S. Samudra,
Present, sir.
Harshit,
Present, sir.
Naga Venkatar,
Present, sir. Present, sir.
Nikhil Pankaj Mantri,
Present, sir.
Jojubatla Sai Teja,
Present, sir.
Devani Das,
Present, sir.
Kumar Thakur,
Present, sir.
Varita
Present, sir.
Sharma,
Present, sir.
Divyasri,
Present, sir.
Krishna Chaudhary,
Yes, sir.
Ignesh sir,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rahman, Nadim,
Yes, sir.
Ayush Gupta,
Yes, sir.
Srinanand.
Present, sir.
Okay, you can leave now. If you have some class, I think you may have some class.
Sir, Kottapalli Vivek Present, sir.
Huh?
Kottapalli Vivek Present, sir.
Okay.